So, have you ever felt like you were just one move away from everything finally going your way, only to have the door slammed in your face at the very last second? Well, that's exactly where we find ourselves in the middle of the Forrester and Logan families right now, and let me tell you, things are getting messy. Was this really just a business decision made by Rich Forrester? Or are we looking at a permanent shift in power that's going to change the face of fashion in Los Angeles forever? I mean, you have to wonder if Hope Logan is ever going to be able to stand on her own 2 feet without her mother trying to clear the path for her. Or is she just destined to be a casualty in a war that started way before she was even born? The hallways at Forrester Creations used to be all about high-end couture and glamour, but lately, they feel more like a bunker in a war zone. We're seeing decades of bad blood and old grudges finally boiling over into what people are calling an outright civil war. It all started when Rich Forrester had to make a huge choice about who is going to lead the company. He finally lowered the boom and decided that his daughter Steffi stays as the sole co-CEO. He basically shut the door on Brooke's face after she tried to stage a corporate coup to take that spot for herself. Now you might think, okay, it's just a job. But in this world, a job is never just a job. It's about whose name is on the building and whose family legacy matters more. When you really dig into it, this wasn't just a no to Brooke's resume. It was Ridge making a definitive statement about the hierarchy of the Forrester legacy. By picking his biological daughter over a professional partnership with his wife, he basically told the Logans that they are just guests in a house the Forresters built. Why did Brooke even think this would work? I think she made a massive tactical error. She thought the old days of her and Ridge running the show together would be enough to kick Steffi out of the driver's seat. But Steffi isn't the little girl she used to be. She's a proven leader who wasn't about to let her legacy be snatched away. What do you think about Brooke's real motives here? Was she actually trying to save the company? Or was she just desperate to make sure her daughter Hope had a safety net? Brooke didn't just ask for a promotion. She tried to remove Steffi entirely. That is a bold move even for Brooke Logan. Internally, Brooke has to be vibrating with this weird mix of disappointment and a terrifying sense that she's losing her touch. She had to go back to Hope and admit that her magic didn't work on Ridge this time. It's almost like she's mourning the loss of that destiny narrative where she and Ridge are equals in everything, including the boardroom. The funny thing is how Brooke handled the rejection. She actually sent a text to Steffi calling her a great CEO and saying no one does it better. Does that feel genuine to you? Or does it feel like a tactical retreat? I see it as a survival move. She's trying to save face and keep her marriage from falling apart after she just tried to fire her husband's daughter. It's classic Brooke. Overreaching and then immediately trying to play nice so nobody leaves her. Honestly, I disagree with how she handled it. If you're going to try to take the crown, you can't miss and then send a congrats text to the person you tried to take down. It makes her look weak, don't you think? And then we have Hope. Poor Hope is absolutely fuming right now. She really believed her mom would pull this off. She thought she was about to get a fair shake, and that her fashion line, Hope for the Future, wouldn't be ignored anymore. But now she's stuck. She realizes she's working for Steffi, a woman who has every reason to want to see Hope's line fail. Can you imagine the stress of that? Hope isn't just mad. She's feeling a deep sense of psychological trauma because her professional safety net was just shredded. Is Hope being treated like a disposable subordinate? Or is she just being a bit entitled? I mean, she's almost 40 years old, and she's still waiting for her mom to negotiate her job security. Maybe this is the forced independence moment she actually needs. For years, she's been the sweet, accommodating Logan sister. But Ridge's rejection might be the thing that finally pushes her to stop asking for permission and start building her own empire. If she stays at Forrester, she's always going to be the other daughter. She's projecting all her anger onto Steffi because it's easier than admitting that Ridge, the man she looks up to like a father, chose his own daughter over her family's interests. But we can't talk about this without mentioning the return of the legendary Taylor Hayes. She's back, and she's already getting an earful from Steffi about Brooke's power grab. As a psychiatrist, Taylor is looking at this through a surgical lens. She doesn't see a business move. She sees Brooke's relentless and insatiable need for dominance. Taylor has watched this cycle for years, but this time it's different. It's not just about who Ridge is sleeping with. It's about who controls the family's future and money. How do you feel about Taylor being back in the mix? She's clearly proud of Steffy for holding the line, but she's also worried. She knows a wounded and cornered Brooke is a dangerous person to be around. Taylor's maternal protective instinct is on high alert. She sees this corporate espionage as just a new front in an old battle. I honestly love that Taylor is calling out the nice Logan act. For too long, Brooke has played the victim, but Taylor is right. Trying to take a CEO title away from someone just to help your own kid is a pretty aggressive move. While all this is happening in the executive offices, the design studio is also a mess. Zend is at his breaking point. He's been working his tail off for months on a collection that has now been shelved indefinitely. And the kicker? He's stuck reviewing designs for RJ, the golden child. Can you blame the guy for being resentful? He feels like his talent is being wasted while the family's favorite son gets all the glory. Zend is realizing that in a company fueled by nepotism, he might never be the priority. What should Zend do? He's currently pondering his future, and there's a big chance he might jump ship to join Katie Logan's new fashion house. It's a classic case of an inferiority complex being triggered by a toxic work environment. If I were him, I'd be out of there so fast. Why stay where you're treated like a glorified tailor when you could be a lead designer somewhere else? It's interesting because he and RJ are actually trying to play nice for the sake of the company, but you have to wonder how long that temporary truce is going to last. Now let's look at the bigger picture. The whole Logan camp is basically in despair. Bill Spencer is looking at Forrester Creations and calling it a toxic wasteland for talent like Hope. He and Liam are practically begging her to pack her bags and move to the new Logan fashion house. But Hope is stubborn. She's still waiting for a miracle that isn't coming. It's almost like she's addicted to the drama of trying to prove herself to people who will never fully accept her. But here's the real twist. Katie Logan is having a major crisis of conscience. Her sister Donna basically accused her of using Hope as a pawn in a 20-year-old revenge plot against Brooke. Remember when Brooke stole Bill from Katie all those years ago? Donna thinks this job offer for Hope is just a way for Katie to get back at Brooke. Now Katie is looking in the mirror and wondering if she's actually a rescue mission, or if she's subconsciously trying to cause Brooke maximum devastating pain. The line between a good business strategy and a family vendetta has never been blurrier. Do you think Katie is being genuine, or is she just enjoying the chance to stick it to her sister? If you think the corporate stuff is wild, the drama with the younger generation is on a whole other level. Electra Forrester's world just got violently and irreparably shattered. She found out a sickening truth. Dylan is secretly blood cousins with Remy Price. If you've been following along, you know that Remy is the guy who put Electra through hell with those malicious deep fakes. He ruined her reputation and messed with her mental health. And now she finds out the woman she just forgave and welcomed back as a friend is related to her worst nightmare. The psychological impact of this is huge. Electra had just decided to move on and mend her friendship with Dylan. They even shared a beautiful symbol of healing hug. But now that hug feels like a venomous and calculated betrayal. She feels like she's surrounded by liars and manipulators. And right as she's having this psychological collapse, Will Spencer shows up to pour his heart out to her. He's talking about love and forever. But Electra is literally drowning in trauma. It's a total disaster. How can she even think about a romantic reunion when she feels like the ground is opening up under her? The dramatic irony here is just painful. Will is being so vulnerable and hopeful, but he has no idea that Electra's heart is currently in a million jagged pieces. His grand romantic gesture is probably the last thing she needs right now. It might actually be the thing that causes her to completely break down. The question isn't just if they'll get back together. It's if Electra can ever trust anyone ever again. So where do we go from here? I predict a total Forrester civil war is about to explode. Hope is eventually going to leave, and when she does, it's going to force everyone to pick a side. It's not going to be a clean break. It's going to be scorched earth. I can see Taylor stepping back into the ring, not just as a mom, but as a strategic player to protect her family's empire from whatever Brooke tries next. And Brooke? She's wounded and cornered, which we all know is when she's most unpredictable. She might even join the competition herself, which would either be a great turning point for her and Katie, or the final explosion of their sibling rivalry. In the middle of all this chaos, we even have Charlie Weber back on the scene, probably bumbling through security while all these secrets are leaking out. And little Hayes is there as a silent reminder of why Steffy is fighting so hard. She's not just being a boss, she's building a fortress for her children's future. Every harsh boundary she draws against the Logans is driven by that maternal need to keep her family's legacy safe. It really feels like the landscape of the show is becoming unrecognizable. The battle lines aren't just drawn, they're carved in stone. Taylor has a brand new highly critical perspective on Brooke, and she's ready to defend the throne. Hope is radicalized and desperate. Katie is haunted by the ghosts of her past. And Will's pursuit of love just crashed headfirst into a wall of toxic family secrets. What do you think was the biggest mistake made this week? Was it Brooke's power grab? Or was it Dylan keeping her connection to Remy a secret? And honestly, do you think Ridge made the right call by siding with Steffy, even if it might cost him his marriage? There's so much to unpack here, and I want to hear your theories. If you want to keep up with all the fallout and get the deepest analysis on every look, text, and corporate move in Los Angeles, you've got to stay tuned. This is just the beginning of the end for the piece at Forrester Creations. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the drama, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Also, hit that like button if you're Team Steffy or leave a comment if you think the Logans are being unfairly targeted. Thanks for hanging out and dissecting the drama with me. I'll see you in the next one. So, have you ever watched someone who's always been the good girl finally reach their breaking point? That's exactly what we're seeing with Hope Logan right now, and honestly it's about time. For years, she's been the sweet, patient center of the Logan family, but after the events of this week at Forrester Creations, that version of Hope seems to have left the building. Was it really just a bad day at the office? Or are we witnessing a total personality shift? Some of the latest reports are actually describing her as a hardened, desperate woman who is finally ready to fight dirty to save her career. But you have to ask yourself, is she actually becoming hardened, or is she just finally waking up to the reality of the world she lives in? The trigger for this whole transformation was Rich Forrester's massive decision to keep his daughter, Steffy, as the sole co-CEO, basically telling Brooke to take a hike. Hope didn't just want her mom to get that job because she loves her. She was optimistic that Brooke in power would finally give her fashion line, Hope for the Future, a fair shake. Now that Ridge has lowered the boom and sided with his biological daughter, Hope is facing a crushing reality. She realized that if she stays at Forrester, Steffy is going to remain her boss. A boss who currently blames Hope for this entire corporate mess. This isn't just a career setback. For Hope, it's a profound psychological trauma. Why is this hitting her so hard? Think about it. Hope has spent weeks feeling marginalized, dismissed, and treated like a disposable subordinate. She's been sitting on the sidelines watching her hard work gather dust while the golden child RJ gets all the opportunities. When Brooke failed to get that co-CEO spot, the safety net Hope was counting on didn't just tear. It completely vanished. I think this is why she's spiraling. She feels like she's standing on the edge of a cliff, and the person she trusted to catch her just let her fall. It's making her fume, with a mixture of grief and righteous indignation. The funny thing is how Steffy sees the situation. While Hope feels like a victim, Steffy is over in the CEO office telling Taylor that Hope is actually the one pulling the strings. Steffy believes Hope manipulated Brooke into this power grab just to save her failing line. It's a classic case of two people looking at the same situation and seeing something completely different. Steffy sees a bratty rival trying to steal a throne. Hope sees a tyrant who is making it her personal vindictive mission to dismantle her brand. Who do you think is closer to the truth? Honestly, it feels like both of them are leaning into their worst instincts right now. This is where the hardened part comes in. The sweet, accommodating, endlessly patient Hope Logan is officially a thing of the past. Instead of crying in a corner, she's storming into the executive office to demand answers. We're looking at a volcanic eruption of years of suppressed anger. When she corners Steffy, she isn't asking for a favor. She's demanding a timeline for her production line and questioning why she's always collateral damage in Steffy's corporate games. This is a masterclass in dramatic tension, because for the first time, Hope isn't backing down. She's fighting for her professional survival, and that kind of desperation can make anyone a little dangerous. But does being desperate mean she's in the wrong? I'd argue that Hope has no choice. If she doesn't fight back now, Hope for the Future is basically dead in the water. Steffi is already hinting that she might shut the line down completely because of the drama Brooke caused. If you were in Hope's shoes, wouldn't you be fuming too? Her entire career is hanging by a thinnest of threads, and her ultimate rival holds all the cards. It's a brutal, uncompromising standoff, and Hope is realizing that playing nice hasn't gotten her anywhere. The psychological layer here is really deep. Hope is dealing with an insatiable need for dominance, coming from the Forrester side, and she's reacting with a hardened exterior to protect herself. It's a survival mechanism. She can't afford to be the sweet girl anymore because that girl just gets pushed around. But here's the problem. When you start fighting like a desperate woman, you risk losing the very thing that made people root for you in the first place. Is she becoming the very person she hates? Now, everyone from Bill Spencer to Liam is whispering in her ear, telling her to abandon ship and move to the newly minted Logan fashion house. Bill thinks Forrester is a toxic wasteland for her talent, and he's probably right. But Hope is stubbornly anchored to the Forrester legacy. Why? Maybe it's her ego, or maybe she just can't stand the idea of Steffi winning by driving her out. It's a career-defining choice that's going to send shockwaves through the whole industry if she does leave and joins her Aunt Katie at Logan. It won't just be a job change, it'll be a declaration of all-out scorched earth war. And let's not forget, Katie might have her own subconscious motivations for hiring her, which could just add more fuel to the fire. The line between a righteous business strategy and vindictive familial sabotage is basically gone at this point. So, to answer the big question, is Hope being a hardened, desperate woman? Yes, she probably is. But in a building where everyone is trying to take what's yours, being a little hardened might be the only way to survive. She's no longer waiting for a miracle. She's trying to force one to happen. Whether that makes her a hero or a villain in this Forrester civil war is really up for debate. What do you think about Hope's new attitude? Is she finally showing some backbone? Or is she just becoming as entitled as the people she's fighting? And if she does jump ship to Logan, do you think Brooke will follow her? Or will Brooke stay at Forrester to try and fix her marriage with Ridge? There is so much drama unfolding, and I want to hear your take on it. If you want to stay in the loop on all the fallout from the Forrester-Logan war, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to be breaking down every corporate move and every family betrayal as it happens. Hit that like button if you're glad to see Hope finally standing up for herself, and drop a comment below. Are you Team Steffi or Team Hope in this showdown? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next deep dive. So what is the absolute final twist that is going to leave us all screaming at our screens? I think it's the realization that this isn't just about a job at Forrester anymore. It is about the complete dismantling of the Logan-Forrester alliance. The biggest shocker coming up is that Hope might not just leave. She might take the entire creative soul of the company with her to Logan. If Brooke follows her, Forrester Creations is looking at a massive talent drain that could leave Steffi ruling over an empty kingdom. But the real catastrophic twist is happening with Elektra. Just as Will pours his heart out for a romantic reunion, the truth about Dylan and Remy is going to hit like a freight train. Can you imagine finding out your trusted friend is actually blood-related to the man who ruined your life with deep fakes? This discovery is going to cause a total psychological collapse for Elektra, leaving Will standing in the wreckage of his own grand gesture. And don't sleep on Katie. The twist here is that her kind gesture to Hope might actually be a 20-year-old revenge plot against Brooke finally coming to light. Is she a savior or a saboteur? In the next 2 weeks, expect to see Hope corner Steffi for a final brutal confrontation before she officially announces her defection. We are also looking at Brooke and Katie potentially finding a positive turning point as they unite against the Forresters, effectively starting a scorched earth war that Los Angeles will never forget. The battle lines are carved in stone, and the fallout is going to be absolute.